Hi everybody, today I'm going to show you how to make homemade hot cocoa. Here's what you need to make this recipe. 4 cups of milk, any kind of milk you choose, almond, soy, coconut, cow's, whole milk, skim milk, it doesn't matter. 1/3 cup of water, a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, a 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. It's very important that you use unsweetened cocoa powder for this. A 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, and just a dash of salt. The tools you will need is a medium-sized pot and a whisk. So let's get started. Step 1, you are going to combine the water and sugar, cocoa powder, and salt into the pot. Now salt, this recipe calls for a dash of salt. That means you just take your fingers, pinch a little bit, and throw it in. Salt helps bring out the chocolatey flavor, and it gives us depth and contrast when you're seasoning things. So salt is important even in sweet foods. You're going to turn your pot, your burner, on to a medium-high heat because we want to mix this well and we're going to bring it to a boil. Now while we're doing this, I'd like to introduce you to this tool, the whisk, and we're also going to practice some of our stove safety. First of all, I would like you to notice that my handle is off to the side. It is not hanging over the front where I could easily knock it over or a small child could step up and grab it because they're curious. Always try to use the burner towards the back of the stovetop and make sure the handle is turned to the side and not hanging over the front. Also, if this were on my stovetop, make sure your handle is not hanging over another hot burner or a boiling pot because the handle will heat up. So be careful of that. This is a whisk. It's a wire whisk. They come in many styles. I like this one because it's got a nice grip and a nice wide wire base. And it's meant to scrape the bottom and sides of your pan as you're mixing. And it also helps whip air into things like cream and eggs. But today what we're doing is we're just mixing. And I'm going to always be scraping the bottom of my pot while I'm doing this because I don't want the chocolate to burn. So I'm just scraping around the edges, trying to get all of that chocolate incorporated in to the water. So this recipe says to first dissolve the cocoa and sugar and salt into water, not into milk. Why is that? I'll tell you why. It's actually very smart. The sugar needs to dissolve, and the cocoa is very difficult to mix. It's super, super fine and powdery. In fact, when you measure it out, chances are very high that it'll poof all over the place. So be very careful when you do that. It's easy to make a mess. That's why I always have a rag with me. But milk also has natural sugars in it, and dairy milk especially is easy to burn. So if we were trying to bring this up to a boil to dissolve those sugars in the milk, chances are we would scald the milk and it would have a burnt taste to it. So first we're going to do it with water, then we will slowly add in our milk and warm it up. We're never actually going to boil the milk. To bring this up to a boil, this small amount of water will take about 6 or 7 minutes. And you want to stir regularly so that you don't burn the bottom of the pan. You also might be tempted to walk away because it gets boring standing here for 6 or 7 minutes, but don't do it. Always stay at your stovetop when something is cooking. Never walk away from a hot burner, especially with food on top that is cooking. Very dangerous. Now it's simmering. Simmering is a very gentle bubbling, and it's what happens right before boil. So here we go. Now we've got this rapid boiling. See how there's big bubbles moving very, very quickly? We're going to boil this for 2 minutes while stirring. Do not stop stirring while it's boiling. You are sure to burn the cocoa. Okay, this is boiled for 2 minutes. I'm now going to pour in my 4 cups of milk, stirring constantly. Do not stop stirring right now. At this point, you're just going to continue stirring until the milk comes up to the temperature that you like your hot cocoa to be. Do not boil the milk. Again, we do not want to burn it. Just gently stir occasionally as it comes up to temperature. See that steam starting to rise? It's just a little bit, but that means it's getting close. You'll get this kind of light brown, foamy top right before it starts to simmer. And we're just warming it to the desired temperature. The heating of the hot cocoa to your desired temperature could take about 10 minutes. You just want to make sure that you are stirring every couple of minutes and scraping the bottom of that pot to make sure the milk isn't getting too hot and sticking to the bottom, because it'll scald. Especially if you have a thin pot like I'm using here, it's more likely to adhere to the bottom. So just stir it every couple of minutes. Good things come to those who wait. And I'm going to test this now and see if it's hot enough for me. It's close. Okay, I think this is ready. So I am going to take it off of the heat. It's really important that I don't leave it on this burner because it's electric. It will still have a residual heat even after I turn it off. And I don't want my cocoa to get too hot. So turn the burner off and then set your pot off onto that heat-proof surface that I mentioned. And then the last thing we're going to do is pour our vanilla in. You want to add vanilla to hot liquids at the end. We don't want to boil the vanilla. We want its flavor to stay strong and to not become bitter. So I'm just stirring in the vanilla. And now you can serve it into your cups. This will serve about 6-ounce servings. So a standard coffee cup, if you leave a little room for ice cream, marshmallows, or whipped cream. I am going to take this up to my mother-in-law, who is upstairs crocheting a baby blanket right now. So I'm going to leave her a little space. When doing these whipped cream in a can things, make sure that you shake it really well beforehand and that you hold it upside down. Don't do it sideways or you'll squirt the gas out and there won't be enough pressure left in here. So upside down. Yum. Okay, that's hot cocoa, you guys. Go make some for your family and let us know how it turns out. Ooh, this one might have to be for me. Yummy.